Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello, welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. Eden and I are making some supper, and we're making a Mexican tater tot casserole, and we're going to help each other in the kitchen. The oven is preheating to 425. We've sprayed a 9x13, but we also put foil on a sheet underneath it because that way if it boils over, it's not making a mess in the oven. In the meantime, I'm browning 2 and it says 2 on the recipe, 2 pounds, but I've got 2 1/4 pounds because that's what came in the package of hamburger. And I'm gonna put my onion and my garlic in this, and Eden's gonna tell you what she's gonna mix together while I'm doing this.
Okay, so first I'm gonna mix the refried beans and if I can get it open.
I'll find it.
Eventually.
Yes, 3. I thought there was 3. Get it right?
Mm-hmm. I said, I know. You're up in my space.
Okay, and what comes next?
And half of the roadkill.
Right, and we've drained that, and it was really 2 cans of it, so she's going to use half of it now, and then she'll use the other half later.
Oh. I don't like tomatoes, so it's kind of nasty.
Your hot sauce.
Hot sauce, which is 1 teaspoon.
And if you go over a little bit, it would be okay with me, but probably not your mom.
Hot sauce.
I'm a pretty bland kind of person.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I like spicy.
I don't. I take after my dad more than mom.
She doesn't like spicy.
I mean,
on other things.
Yeah,
maybe, but
he doesn't like tomatoes either.
Oh, no.
Say, he kind of likes hot sauce and spicy.
Yeah, he's gotten so he does more, doesn't he?
And then
your cilantro.
My cilantro.
Which is about 1/4 cup. We actually went a little light because we don't
like
cilantro.
And then
you're gonna
mix it
and then set that aside.
Set it aside.
Because you're waiting on the burger.
Yep.
Cake.
Oh, it's almost done.
Okay. We've been busy in the kitchen. We've made pumpkin bars. We've got our South Holt pink cake in the oven. So we are going to town. Well, not literally going to town, but
We're in
that
town.
kind of looks like really bad dog food, doesn't
Stop. It looks gross.
Do you like refried beans?
It depends on the circumstance.
I do in stuff. I mean, I'm not going to just sit and eat refried beans.
Yeah.
But
School sometimes has refried beans. It's kind of nasty.
I like mixing the refried beans and rice and lettuce and sour cream and stuff.
yeah, make like a type of taco salad type of thing.
Kind of thing, yeah.
So.
Give me an apron.
Okay, so we're going to set that aside, and we'll come back when the hamburger is ready to go. Okay, so our burger has browned with the onion and the garlic in it. So now Eden is going to add the spices to our hamburger. She's going to add in, move it, I can't see it, the brown sugar that we'll get here in a minute, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, the big one. I don't know if it'll fit in that jar or not.
I don't think so.
Here, right over the pan.
Good idea.
Just don't go too crazy.
Makes me nervous. Oh.
You're making me nervous.
You know, if you get a little extra, it's fine with me. It just makes it spicier.
Okay.
One more.
Good thing 'cause I was doing it anyway.
Just a little more. Come on. Be brave. There you go. Oh.
Not that much.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay. You need a teaspoon of cumin.
You probably pop that plastic piece off of there.
That's fine. Oh my goodness.
Get over the pan or we're hung
No, I already dumped like half of it in there.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
What do I need?
Just a little bit more. Okay. Now dump that back in. You can go over the sink there if you want to.
I don't cook very often.
Okay, and she's going to put in a teaspoon of coriander.
That?
This one?
Never heard of that before.
Really?
No.
I was turning on the air conditioning. Now that one should go in. Will that go in? Go. There you go. It was a teaspoon, right? Check it before you double.
It's a little tea.
Yep. Okay, teaspoon of coriander. And a half a teaspoon of oregano. It's right there. And the lid may be off it because that lid doesn't stay on it.
Smells.
I know, I love the spices. That is all in there.
Half teaspoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, half teaspoon. A tablespoon of cider vinegar. And just a teaspoon of brown sugar.
It's funny watching her on that side over there cooking because I feel like I'm looking at myself.
How do your things have to be so difficult? What in the world?
I'm not at a good angle to be doing this. I'm afraid it's gonna here. That's got stuff on it. I'm gonna just do. Okay. Okay. So you can stir that together. Go ahead and stir that together.
It's a good thing we don't have out the fine china.
She's like a train wreck right now. Okay, and we're gonna let that cook just for a minute or two to kind of get those flavors to get into the hamburger. And then we're going to go ahead and start adding the other stuff, everything but our bean mixture and the cheese and the tater tot. So to this, we're going to add that other can of Rotel. We're going to add a can of corn that we drained. We're going to put in just a little bit of lime juice. What would cilantro be without lime juice, right? And it really says the juice of one lime. And that depends on if it's a key lime. Like I know you'd love to squeeze the key limes for my key lime pie.
My fingers.
Yep. And I think that already did the hot sauce. You already did that. Okay.
I feel like I'm gonna fling it.
Better not fling it. Okay. So Eden's gonna make in our casserole. She's going to put that bean mixture that she did. Yeah, she's gonna put a layer of that. She's gonna put all of it in the bottom of this and spread it out to make a layer.
I think in future tech world, there should be a button that you can press, like on your TV or whatever you're watching it on, like a smell button.
Yeah,
So
wouldn't it be nice if it, and it's the same way when you show the pictures, it'd be nice if there was a taste. But we need the Jetsons, that kind of thing.
Bubble cars?
Bubble cars. We were just talking about bubble cars.
When we go to Fort Worth, your grandpa thinks we're on the Jetsons because the way the highways are, it feels like those highways that the little jet or the little robotic cars go on. Okay,
See, I've never actually like watched that, but
well, it might be a generational thing.
probably.
Okay. Okay, and over that, she's going to put about 2 cups of Mexican cheese. Woo! Just use this one. And I've shown you this before, right?
What?
2 cups? I know I've shown you
You
this.
showed
Maybe-
me.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
not
showed you.
me.
Basically, a handful comes out to be a cup.
Oh, that makes
So-
sense.
So then you do the other one. So you're going to do 2 cups of this. So that's the first one. Okay, and on the top of that, she's going to dump the hamburger mixture. And then over the top of the hamburger mixture, she'll put a cup of Colby cheese. Do you want to do it, or you want me to dump it and you smooth
You can
it?
dump it, I'll spread it.
I really like this casserole because so many of the tater tot casseroles that you see, it's like the meat part is almost runny. And when it does that, it makes your tater tots soggy. And I don't like soggy tater tots.
Nobody likes their tater tots.
Yes.
soggy.
Okay. So now a layer of the Colby Monterey Jack. The other cheese. Same thing, 2 cups. And don't set anything over there on top. Yeah. And then she's going to put her tater tots on top of this. And then that's going to go in our 425 oven. And we're going to bake this for about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. But then we have to let it cool. So you can go a little more. You can do a very good handful.
My hands aren't very big.
Okay.
That's good.
Tater tots on top of that.
Help.
It's a 32-ounce package of tater tots. Just dump them and then...
Dump them?
Yeah, they don't have to be all lined up in a row. Now, if you want to line them in a row,
Nah.
you're more than welcome to.
All
Okay.
of it? Or...
All of it. The whole 32-ounce package.
Alrighty. Hopefully they don't fall out on the counter.
Well, it's okay. They'll fall out on the
The foil.
foil that we have set up for it. Okay, and you want to make sure they're kind of in one layer, so spread them out as much as you can. And then we'll put these in the oven. Good morning and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We're going to make some egg noodles this morning, and Thanksgiving's coming on, and that's one of the things we usually have with our turkey and that kind of thing. But sometimes we just like to have noodles, especially with roast and potatoes and those kinds of things. And we are having a roast tonight for supper, so this will actually fit 2 purposes. So I'm going to start with a dozen eggs. and I have to separate those, the yolks from the whites. I need some baking powder, and I need some flour. So there's really just 3 ingredients to this recipe. I have a pastry cloth laid out that I'm going to roll these out on, and I have my rolling pin. So it doesn't take much equipment either. So anyway, so we have to start with separating the eggs. And when you separate your eggs, I have an egg separator. I don't know if you have one of these in your kitchen or not, but I normally don't like to use it. It's not really that handy. It's kind of a cute little gadget, but I would rather just separate back and forth. The way this egg separator works is that you just break the egg into the separator, and then you let the white go through. And I always save my egg whites when I'm making noodles. I only use the yolk for this recipe, but I can make a number of different things with the egg whites, so I never throw those away. Okay, so anyway, I'm not crazy about using that. I would rather just separate my eggs by going back and forth between the shells. And if you get a little bit of white in the yolks, it doesn't hurt anything for the egg noodles. Now, you don't want to get any of the yolks in the white if you're going to use this for a meringue of some sort. So when I was teaching, I would always make the kids break them individually into a clean container and then empty them each time, because that way we could ensure that they didn't ruin all the eggs. So I'm going to continue to do this until I have all my eggs separated. Okay, so all of my whites and my yolks have been separated, and I'm going to set those whites out of the way so I don't get anything in those, and I will put them in an airtight container and put those in the refrigerator so I can use them for later. Then I'm going to take my fork, and I'm just going to lightly mix up those yolks to separate them. I had someone comment the other day on my page or on my channel, that I talk too quickly, and I don't mean to. My mind kind of gets going. So I'm sorry if I talk too quickly. I always tease, though. I have a son who is a pastor at a church and locally, and he definitely talks quickly, so maybe it's my fault. So to this, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of flour, and it's going to take a whole cup total, or should take about a whole cup total, but you want to have some extra too so you can flour your pastry cloth. So I'm going to mix that in, and then I want to take my baking powder. And I only want a pinch of this. I just want them to help the noodles kind of puff up a little bit, but it's not something that you want to rise too much. Okay, so I'm gonna mix that in. As you can see, you can't handle this dough yet, and you have to be able to. So I'm gonna take some more of my flour, and I'm gonna add that to it. And that's not quite a cup yet. I'll go ahead and add up to what would be that cup. I know some people add salt to their noodles. They add milk to their noodles or water. But the whole point of these noodles is to get them to dry. And if you're adding a liquid to them, that's going to make it more difficult. So the dough is about to where I need it. So I am going to flour my pastry cloth, and I want to be really generous because you don't want your noodles to stick to your pastry cloth. I don't know if you could use, I don't think you can. I've never tried it on my silicone mat because I think they would stick, and then when you go to cut them, that would be a problem too. So I just want to make sure that's good and floured. And then in the center, I'm going to put some extra flour so I can roll out my dough. And I would advise you that if you're going to make homemade noodles, to get your bowl and your fork into some cold water pretty quickly after you're done with them, so that that doesn't make it hard for it. Just really does help make it a little easier for your cleanup. Okay, so I'm going to knead some of that flour that I put in the center. I'm going to knead that into my dough. So as you can see, I used about a cup for my noodles themselves, but I need the extra so that my noodles are the right consistency to roll out and to flour my pastry cloth. Okay. And you always want to make sure too that you keep the top of your noodles floured as you roll. Okay. I'm going to roll them just to about double the size of the ball of dough I had, and then I want to flip this just to make sure that nothing's sticking to my pastry cloth. So I'm going to continue to roll these very thin. When I'm done, they'll cover the majority of my pastry cloth. I'm going to get them that thin. And then I need to leave these sitting for at least an hour to dry. And that will depend on the humidity in the area that you're at too, whether you need them to dry a little bit longer. I have a daughter-in-law who's helped me make noodles before when I was teaching, because we made lots of noodles. And she likes her noodles thick, and I like my noodles thin. So I always tease her that I don't want her to help me make noodles, but she's always such a good help on everything. So anytime she wants to help with anything, I would appreciate the help. Okay. So as you can see, they're almost covering my pastry cloth. And now I just need to let them dry. And I will come back when they're dry and show you what comes next. Okay, I've let my noodles dry for a little bit, and now I'm ready to go ahead and fold them and cut them. I want to get some of the flour on the surface just so they don't stick. And you can kind of tell because they're starting to curl up around the edges. So I'm going to take them and fold them in half. Get some more of that flour on that section. And you want to do this loosely. Then I'm going to fold them over again. And then I'm just going to kind of roll them in a tube. Again, very loosely. Okay. Got my cutting board out. And I've got my knife. So now I just want to start slicing thinly on one end. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just going to continue to do this all the way to the end. When I get some of them done, I can separate them a little bit, get them in some of that excess flour, and then I'm just going to keep going till I'm done. And then I'm going to leave these to dry probably about another hour. And at that point, I can do one of two things. I can either use them immediately by putting them in hot broth and cooking them for about 20 or 30 minutes, or I can go ahead and put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them, and then take them out whenever I'm ready for them if I'm not going to use them right away. So those are my homemade noodles. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We're going to have a roast. I had one in the freezer that I needed to get rid of and use up. So this is almost an 8-pound roast. And so for my husband and I, this is going to make a nice supper. But the nice thing about a beef roast like this is then we will have it where we can make roast beef sandwiches. We like to have hash that we make up with our leftover roast beef. So there's a number of other things we can do with the leftover meat. So it actually makes several meals. So for the $27 that it costs for this roast, it really does go a long ways and makes several meals. So it's pretty economical. I have a brother-in-law who made a comment years ago, how do you get a cheap cut of meat, which there really is no such thing anymore, but a cheap cut of meat to be so tender and taste so good? And really the key is low heat for a long period of time. And so I like to use my ceramic pot. You can use a roaster if you want to, but it's very simple. I just take that roast, I sprayed my pan, I take the roast and I cover it with water. I don't sear it. I know some people do, but I like to use that juice for my broth. I want just a little more water in there. I like to use it for my broth to make my noodles in, and they're drying on the counter. So I like the juices to flow free. So I want the water to just cover my roast. And then the only spices that we're going to add some pepper, about a half a teaspoon, and some salt, about the same amount. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of onion powder to it as well. Okay. So all I have to do now is put the lid on it, put it in at 325, and it'll take it about 3 to 3.5 hours, just depending on the size of your roast. And then I will show you when it comes out of the oven. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.